To understand Islam and the Muslim world more, buy my book The Curse of God, Why I Left Islam, available in all your favorite online bookstores.
All right, folks, this is Harris Sultan, the ex-Muslim atheist, and welcome to another episode of Sultan's House of Sin. All right, the biggest news story of the week. Now, as I said, those of you who had been following me on Twitter, you guys would have seen what's been happening on Twitter for the last probably more than a week now, relating all instigated by this guy. No, not this peacock. No, not him. This one. Yeah, that one. That's Muhammad Hijab. Okay, so as you guys know what's been happening with Muhammad Hijab, he just out of nowhere, he decided that, okay, I'm going to abuse the wives and sisters of those who are critics of Islam, and let's see what happens. Let's see how they react. He had been going on and on and on about the wives of apostate prophet, Abdullah Samir, Abdullah Gondal. I think he probably somewhere along the way, he targeted David Wood's wife as well, but probably David Wood probably didn't care about that part. But Muhammad Hijab had been, as now infamously he's known as BDSM Muhammad Hijab or the Golden Shower Muhammad Hijab. He's been abusing wives of Abdullah Samir and apostate prophet. His whole logic was, let's abuse these people because they abuse our prophet. First of all, I don't think anyone went to that extreme of abusing Prophet Muhammad. Yes, but there's a key difference here. Prophet Muhammad is a historical figure. He's not just some, an average person, or he's not just some benign character from history. He's an individual who's responsible for a lot of things in our world, countless wars throughout human history, and a special code of conduct that these people say is very important. He is the best example for mankind, basically. And they say that this is it. That's how you got to be. So when you present an individual as a moral character, then those people who don't agree with that, who don't buy into it, they're going to look into it. They're going to critically analyze the life and character of Prophet Muhammad. So we are talking about a historical figure. This is not personal. Somebody tell it's not personal to Muhammad Hijab. Like when a police officer arrests a criminal, a lot of people say, well, hey, it's not personal. I'm just doing my job, which is true. That's the difference. If you go after someone personally, you target them, then that's personal. Secondly, this freedom of speech doesn't include insulting individuals. Muhammad is not alive. Muhammad is not being, and even if he was alive, he would have been no different than any other head of state or a king or a prime minister, etc. And we are allowed to criticize kings and heads of states or prime ministers, etc., whatnot. We are allowed to do it. And in fact, you are allowed to criticize apostate prophet. You're allowed to criticize Abdullah Samir and all the other Islamophobes. But that wasn't the case. He went after the wives of people like apostate prophet and Abdullah Samir, who are not even a part of this. I mean, they don't make any videos about Muhammad. Yes, Mrs. Apostate Prophet, she has a Twitter account. I think she's only got a few thousand followers, which is nothing. And then she stands by her husband. And I don't think she ever abused your prophet. I don't think she ever abused him. And I don't think any one of them abused. You could probably say apostate prophet does criticize in a more harsher way, more sarcastic way. He probably does, which is fair enough. But again, you can go after apostate prophet. But Muhammad Hijab thought that, okay, I'll lower the bar. I'll go even further than that. And obviously, there was going to be a backlash. So let's go through a little bit of a history. I've already gone through it. You probably should have seen the video that I made about Muhammad Hijab's meltdown on my English. And that was a tweet that he had made. When these anti-Muslim attention whore Islamophobes need to get on their knees in intellectual submission. Now, just focus on the words here and what kind of a picture he's drawing here. He's talking about, and he retweeted apostate prophet's wife. And check out the language. attention whore, Islamophobes need to get on their knees in intellectual submission. And this is BDSM kind of talk that he's getting into here. Intellectual submission. Forget about the word intellectual. Get on their knees before they are whipped by freedom of speech, by the Twitter Muslims, the Twitter jihadis, he should have said. They're whipped by freedom, again, an innuendo of BDSM innuendo, and they reluctantly open their mouth in protestation to find they have been defiled by truth. Now, again, open their mouth and defiled. So that's what and that's where Muhammad Hijab took it and thought, okay, let's see how it happens. And I don't think any one of us have actually spoken about Prophet Muhammad that way. And as I said, even if we had, that's fine, because you can criticize historical personalities. You can criticize big famous people in our world today. So then I actually tweeted about this. Everyone was, there was Twitter meltdown a week ago or so that, oh, come on, that's too low, etc., whatnot. And then after all of these antics of Muhammad Hijab, David Wood invites Abdullah Samir and Apostate Prophet both on the show. And then he goes through his tweets, his jihad against apostates or ex-Muslims. And then David Wood thought that, okay, if you're going to go after us, actually ex-Muslims, he was speaking for ex-Muslims. If you're going to go after ex-Muslims and you want to start hitting below the belt, then we can go one step further. It's bound to happen that, okay, now we know your soft underbelly. What's stopping them from ripping into your soft belly? So that's what David Wood did.
Yeah.
John, do you really think we can't escalate? Do you? My goodness. Do you really think that you want to go this route?
So, I mean, I tweeted about that as well, and I said, look, I mean, I would have preferred if David Wood hadn't done that. But again, I've got no official position against those who do these kind of things, because, you know, in a free society, yes, you should be able to do it. Again, it's not the same as actually attacking Prophet Muhammad, or it's not the same as, okay, you can come after people's private lives. It's not like that. And the funny thing is, when your own books, when it's a part of your faith, when you tell that, okay, Prophet Muhammad had sex slaves, okay, Prophet Muhammad had a child bride, and unlike those Muslims who don't believe that he had a child bride, but people like Ali Dawah and people like Muhammad Hijab do believe that Aisha was 9 years old. So when they just quote these things, and we don't buy your narrative that a 52-year-old man should be marrying a 9-year-old girl, whether he did that or not is a totally different thing. But if you believe that he did it, then we can throw that in your face. So we're basically quoting your Bukhari hadith, and we're saying, well, you know, this is not right. So we're not, and it's not even personal, because you also believe that Aisha was 9. So it's not the same as you then going after apostate prophet's wife. So anyway, so this Halal Homer guy was saying, oh, well, you know, what if a Muslim had eaten the Bible? What would have happened then? There would have been, all the news stories would have been crying about this and Islamophobia, blah, blah. You know, they would have been crying foul about it at that time. Had some Muslim eaten the Bible. So, you know, and as any sane person would know, that nobody would care, you know, like if you did whatever you did with, in these BLM protests recently, there were lots of incidents when Bibles were actually burnt, along with American flags. So we know nothing would have happened. And anyway, so I just tweeted and I said, well, this is not my style, but I know Armin Navabi might be up for it, where he would eat the Quran and eat the Bible, and let's see what happens. And Armin Navabi saw that tweet and he said, challenge accepted. So
I don't know. That's a bit much. Come on. It's not too bad. Here, I'll do it. You see? It's not too much at all. For no good reason. There are things that should not be taboo. Okay, this is the page. I decided the page. Gentle. Don't ruin my gig. Oh, see? Look. It's still intact. Just one page out. And you can see that it's the Baqarah. It's the beginning of the Baqarah. And Allah's name and everything is here. I asked on Facebook how many calories are in this. I got some people took it very seriously. I was getting some serious scientific answers. Oh, I think it would be better if I chew it up. Oh, look at this. Oh my God, it's gonna be hard to digest, huh? Small pieces, everyone. All right, we need to do this with the Bible as well. Not very tasty. Where's the Bible? Bible. I'm not very sorry about ruining this book because this is just a free Bible that people give away in churches. I could get 1 million of these. It's not as special as my gay Quran. I'm just gonna pick something from the middle. Oh, this is gonna be easier. Bible. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about this. I'm just doing this to make Harris Sultan's point. Guys, I burned the Quran a couple of years ago and I put it on YouTube. And I got a lot of backlash from that. Oh my God, we have the apostate prophet in the live chat. Eat. Okay. Okay. This is the Bible, by the way. Do you know that, apostate prophet? I already read the Quran. Here's a little bit more Quran to follow up. I need some water.
So that was Armin Navabi eating the Bible and the Quran. It was bound to happen, like at least he was being fair. Unlike David Wood, he ate the Bible and the Quran. So why did it go that far? It went that far because you're going after ex-Muslims, known critics of Islam, and you're going after their wives. You're making it personal. They still haven't made it personal, though. They could have done a lot worse. David Wood actually threatened. He said, okay, my next step would be, if he doesn't stop, if Muhammad Hijab doesn't stop, then I'm going to make a website called pissonthequran.com or something like that. And he said, I'll go with it. And I will get people to film it and then send it to me and then we'll upload it. What's stopping them from doing it? Nothing really. And Muhammad Hijab needs to understand. And I just recently found out he's actually very young. He's only in his 20s. I thought he'd be in his 30s. But he needs to understand that the world can't be bullied. What do you think that if you're 6'6" or you're going to talk tough, wallahi, you're finished, and people will be like, oh, shit. Oh, I'm finished. I'm so scared. He thinks that that's how he can scare people? No. So anyway, how are you going to intimidate people? No, people won't stop that way. And David Wood, there's nothing stopping David Wood from actually doing that. Now what you have done is that you've actually given a reason for David Wood. Next time you try to act out again, he would actually do this. He knows that you can actually back away because he has backed away. Now, Muhammad Hijab, I said, unless he's put on a leash, this will become a norm. And guess what? He actually has been put on a leash. This is his tweet. Also, not every wild action I have done or continue to do is justified or encouraged by Islam. Look at the change in the tone of his voice. He's now saying, he was saying that Abu Bakr actually encouraged swearing and cursing the mothers of those who defile Islam or who criticize Islam or whatnot. And now he's saying, it's actually not justified by Islam. I have a wild temperament sometimes and can act extremely arrogantly. Duh. Please don't copy this behavior with normal people in your life. So Muhammad Hijab is now trying to, damage control. Oh, look, I'm sorry. And there are a few more tweets as well. Announcement. I am no longer working for IRA. I am grateful to them. I'm now working for Sapiens Institute. And from today, I'll be adhering to their policies and code of conduct. We've had 20,000 plus registration for our webinars. Don't miss out. So it's quite clear that IRA, who he had been working for, has sacked them. And the other institute, Sapiens Institute, they have made him release this tweet that I will be adhering to their policies, because if he does something like this again in the future, they would be like, hey, that's what you had said. You had sort of like taken an oath that you would never do things like these again in the future. But you've done it, therefore, out you go. So that it's quite clear that he actually has been put on a leash. Now, that's the second tweet. In the last week on Twitter, I have been going on and rampage against some Islamophobic figures. This rampage could be characterized by bitterness, sharpness, and relentlessness. Relentlessness. I will be taking the advice of the many sincere people who have advised me move on to other things. Okay, clear. People have advised him move on. It doesn't, you can't bully people like that. They would go 10 times worse. They can. There's nothing stopping them. The other key point that I want you people to know, that David Wood has been doing this for how long? 5-6 years? And you call him he's the worst Islamophobe? And this is the first time when it's actually done something like this, was ripped out a page of the Quran and just, he ate it and then spat it out. First time for someone like David Wood in 5 or 6 years, however long he's been active for. That tells you that, you know, how far you push these people. He could have done this in 2014, 15, 16, 17, whatever. He could have done it any time, but he didn't do it because, you know, he's still trying to keep at an intellectual level. As I say again, he's not an ex-Muslim. He doesn't care at all. He's got, I don't know, to the best of my knowledge, he's got no one in his family who's a Muslim. Ex-Muslims are different. Ex-Muslims have Muslim family members, so they are worried, that they are concerned about that as well. So they don't want to hurt them as well to some extent. And that's the reason why they don't go that far. But hijab, as I said, had to be put on a leash. So he's been put on a leash. That was bound to happen. And all those Twitter Muslims who he was addressing to, you know, I understand in social media you get G'd on and you're like, yeah, go hijab, go do it. And sometimes you get carried away and then you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then at the end of the day, you end up being humiliated in front of your own crowd. Where's your relentlessness now? I'm not egging you on. I think it's a good thing that what you've done, you've actually taken a step back, and that's fine. Just keep it to an intellectual discourse. Just keep criticizing the ideas of ex-Muslims.
To help me produce more videos like these, support me on Patreon or PayPal.